In the U.S., where the Coast Guard says it's now suspending search and rescue efforts in Baltimore after a cargo ship lost power and hit a bridge, causing it to collapse. State police say the rescue mission has now changed to a recovery operation to find the 6 people who are still missing. 2 people were rescued after they were thrown into the river.
I'd like to announce tonight that based on the length of time that we've gone in this search, the extensive search efforts that we've put into it, the water temperature, that at this point we do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive.
Well, Al Jazeera's Heidi Jo Castro joins us live from near that collapsed bridge in Baltimore. Heidi, so what more are we learning then about the victims?
Darren, it appears that all 6 of these presumed deceased victims were members of a road crew, and they were all immigrant men working in the United States from Latin America. And they were in the middle of this bridge when catastrophe happened overnight. This would have been almost 24 hours ago, when a container ship weighing more than 97,000 tons careened into a pillar of this bridge. And we've seen that breathtaking image of how the bridge just collapsed. Now, these victims, again, they were working on a road crew repairing the asphalt. The Guatemalan consulate has confirmed that 2 of these men were Guatemalan in their 20s and 30s. Another 40-year-old father of 3 was from El Salvador, and we believe the other victims are from Mexico as well as from Honduras. But as you mentioned, there were 2 who also members of this road crew who were pulled from the water alive early in this search and rescue effort. But after hours of continued searching, that search was called off, and now it is deemed a recovery effort. And of course, there's many questions as part of this as well. Why were the members of this construction crew why did they not have time to get off the bridge? Because this ship did send out a mayday call, and the Maryland authorities operating this bridge received that just in time to stop traffic from crossing the bridge. And if you see that video, it's just breathtaking how what a near miss it was for those cars. Just the last one passes before this ship careens into the bridge. But was it possible to alert the road crew? Had they received such a warning? At this point, we just don't know. And those are some of the many questions that are still pending.
Yeah, Heidi, and do we know how the investigation will proceed from here then?
Yeah, so now that this has become a recovery effort, the investigators say that this is when they can step in. They've so far really given the space to the rescue workers. They will be boarding this container ship, which they held off on doing. They'll be looking for the shipping, for the records, the black box of the ship, to see just when did it lose control as it maydayed to the port authorities, that it had lost propulsion. Did it try to stop? Did it drop an anchor? Was there anything that could have been done to prevent this? And then, of course, there are also the questions of how could it be that that hitting one pillar of this bridge caused such a massive and near instantaneous failure? Were there design flaws to this? And finally, the work of reopening this shipping lane, which is really a vital one. This is the second busiest port on the eastern seaboard of the United States. A lot of vehicles, new cars, are actually transported here and exported to the rest of the world from the U.S. Already, we're seeing automakers say they have to shift their operations to other ports. This is going to take time. This is going to cost money. The Biden administration said that it is going to help rebuild and recover this bridge, but already warning that it's going to be an expensive and a time-consuming process. Darren.
All right, Heidi Jo Castro live for us there in Baltimore. Heidi, thank you. Well, let's bring in Colin Caprani. He's a bridge design expert and head of structural engineering at Monash University. He joins us live from Melbourne in Australia. Colin, good to have you with us. So this bridge in Baltimore, as we saw, was destroyed extremely quickly, extremely dramatically. Why did the bridge fall so quickly when only one of its support pillars was hit? I mean, how can a single point of failure cause an entire bridge to go down?
Well, it's a single point of failure. Look, it shouldn't have happened. There are protection measures in place that are supposed to make this not happen. There is what's called a dolphin. It's a concrete element which is about 100 meters off the pillar. It's the first line of defense against the ship collision. After that, there is the fender, which is a protection like the bumper on a car. It's around the pylon. The ship seemed to avoid the dolphin, and then the fender just wasn't enough for the size of this vessel. Now, once it had hit that pylon, the design of the bridge, the way this structure is, it simply, there was no other way for it to go other than to collapse. There was no what we call redundancy once you remove that support.
And you've worked, Colin, as a design structural engineer on a wide range of projects, including bridges. So was there then an inherent weakness in the bridge? And how can bridge designers protect against impacts like this one from these huge shipping containers?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that there was an inherent weakness in the bridge itself. I think the protection measures around the bridge clearly weren't up to the task here. The question then becomes, why weren't they up to the task? And it seems that this bridge was designed in the 70s and constructed in the 70s. The requirements in the 70s were quite different to the requirements that we have today. And, you know, for me, what's on my mind is, are we checking that the existing bridges we have today are adequately protected against the shipping that we have today? So I wonder if the ships that this bridge was designed to be protected against were much smaller than the ship that we saw unfortunately impacted the bridge.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you make, Colin, because we know that the bridge, as you say, was opened in 1977, so that makes it nearly 50 years old. Would there have been any retrofitting to the bridge to make it safer, given the age of the structure?
So I think this will be the key question, and I have no doubt that in Maryland Department of Transportation, this was something that has been considered over the years. I obviously don't know the details of where they went with that. How we go about deciding whether or not to retrofit is through a risk assessment. We try to balance the costs, the financial costs of improving the strength and robustness of a structure against the increase in safety. We want it to be more safe, but we don't want to spend too much money. And so this balancing act is something that bridge engineers across the world undertake daily. Look, it's just tragic. In this instance, it seems that it was inadequate for the events that unfolded.
Colin, just a final thought to you. I mean, President Biden says all efforts will be made to rebuild this bridge. What lessons then will designers and builders learn from this accident to prevent something like this from ever happening again?
Well, we tried to learn the lessons from a similar collapse in 1980 in Florida, and certainly the design of bridges since the 1980s has increased. The requirements for protection against ship collision have increased significantly. I think to rebuild and to reopen this is going to take some time. And I think, as your reporter said, the economic fallout from this, not to mention the tragic loss of life, but the economic fallout is going to be enormous, both due to the interruption to the transportation network and also the port activities around the harbour of Baltimore.
All right, Colin Caprani there from Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. Colin, thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.